joining me today on Sweet Tea Hospitality. My name is Karen Conrad, and welcome to my formal dining and living room right here in South Lake, Texas. Today we are showing you how to transform a long, narrow, awkward space into a stunning formal dining and living room. You don't want to miss this. Welcome to Sweet Tea Hospitality, where we provide inspiration for your heart and home. I'm Karen Conrad, and today we are going to be sharing with you how to create a beautiful formal living and dining room. This is a really important space in this house because it is the first room that people see when they walk into the home. And we want it to feel like that place of hospitality and warmth. And can I just tell you that this existing in the Coastal Cottage before the renovations was like a long tunnel. It was closed in, it was awkward, and frankly, it was one of those rooms you just wanted to get out of as quickly as possible. That doesn't sound very hospitable, does it? Well, we went about making a change in this room, and I think you are really going to enjoy the transformation. We're turning something that was a very underutilized space into a room in the house that everybody wants to gather.
I am super excited because today we're making some decisions on the formal living and dining room. It's like my favorite part of the house, and it's a big transition. Maybe that's why it's so much fun. But I do have a challenge in there. It's a very long and narrow room, and it can look like a bowling lane if we're not careful with it. And there's something about it where the weight in that room is off. So I've got the fireplace in the family room that is a massive fireplace, and it just makes that other part of the house seem like it's just too lightweight. So I think what I'm going to do, and I'm going to see if this is possible, I'm going to measure the space and see if I can add an electric fireplace in there that would really add to it feeling like a more expensive room.
This used to be the formal dining and living room, but it was so closed off. It was like a tunnel. And so with us opening up that wall, I am so excited to just rethink and redesign this space. One of the things we hoped that we didn't have to change out, but we quickly realized we do, are the windows. These are probably the original windows that came with the house. They're aluminum, and they're just in really bad shape, and they're like filthy dirty, like we can't even clean them. To get them to look nice. So we are putting in all new windows. And because these are less than 18 inches from the floor, all this glass in this room needs to be tempered glass. In addition, to give more light and really open up this space, we are going with picture windows. I am so excited about the change that is going to happen with the windows, and really when we looked at the price of it, along with the new patio door, we felt this was a really good investment that we will get a solid return on. workshop in Southlake, Texas, and ready to tackle some of the issues that I was facing with the formal living and dining room in the coastal cottage. It was so long, narrow, and closed in when we first purchased the property. Going into the entryway, looking to the left, it almost looked like a tunnel. And I could tell that people didn't sit in there. They didn't use the formal dining. Maybe they did on holidays, but there was just something about the room that you just didn't even want to step into. Have you ever experienced that? I've even had some of the homes I've owned, I've had a room like that, and I've thought, boy, I need to do something about this. It just didn't feel comfortable. So one of the first things we had to do is we had to open up those walls, which I've described to you in previous episodes. But really, that was the first step to bring life into that room. There's just something about, just like in our lives, when we're closed off from things, it gets to be a small space and it gets to be kind of a dark space, not comfortable. So opening that up to the rest of the house made an incredible difference, and it felt like it had life in it, just even from that decision. The ceiling had popcorn ceiling on it, which immediately looked dated. One of the challenges that we had with this property is they had a lot of different ceilings. Some rooms had acoustic tile, other rooms had a smooth ceiling, and then another set of rooms had this popcorn ceiling. This was an investment, and we had to decide, are we going to put the money into having that popcorn ceiling removed? And we did decide to do that. And the reason is, when people walk into a property and they see the popcorn ceiling, it just says dated right there. It ages the home. And we wanted this to really look like something that was new and fresh. So we had Miguel and Joe, a great team of people. They got all of that popcorn ceiling off. And let me prepare you, if you're deciding to do this in your home, it is a mess. So we knew to do this before we brought anything else, did any painting. This had to happen early on in the project because there was so much cleanup after getting that popcorn ceiling removed. There was a small doorway that was going in from the entry that completely closed up the space. So we opened that up, leaving the column areas in the space so we could still run electrical through. Once we decided to open up the wall, I was concerned about the dinette and dining room being next to each other. And so I did a swap. I actually moved the formal dining from where it was previously closer to the entryway, and it created kind of a break between the dinette and the dining room. Also, it gave a great impact on the house. When people came in, they looked to the left and ta-da, there was a beautiful, beautiful chandelier that was waiting for them. With the living room being so long and narrow, how could I make this function well and make it look on purpose rather than something that I just threw together to fill the space up? I like to look at each room and decide what is the purpose, what's going to be the best way for this room to flow. So I was looking through magazines again, getting inspiration on things that I liked, and I found this room that I looked at and thought, this is what we need to have in the coastal cottage for the formal living room. I got 4 chairs from Wayfair in the colors that actually look like the tile on the bathroom floors. It was really amazing. I was pretty excited to find it. You can probably tell that. And I loved how it was arranged in the magazine with 4 chairs to create a conversation room. And so I did that. I got a rug down that's in the natural kind of wicker colors Cecil rug. I arranged the 4 chairs, got from Wayfair a circular coffee table to go right in the middle, and I got an electrical fireplace that added weight to the wall and really grounded this room. And you know what was really awesome about that? When people are cooking in the kitchen and they look out towards a dinette, they see that fireplace, which is also a really fun way to be able to bring art in. I brought a lamp in, And pretty soon I found that that was one of my favorite places to sit in that entire house. Then how do I handle the ceiling transition from the family room and kitchen area to this room? Why was that an issue? Because I had wood beams in those rooms, but I did not have wood beams in the family room and the dining room. So I thought about, do I just stop and start? Do I remove the beams? How am I going to handle this? And the idea came to me that I would keep a soffit between the rooms, just open up the doorway, which would be a natural break. And when I'm in the formal living and dining, I don't even see those beams. I see the soffit, and that solved that problem. And then lastly, how can I make a statement upon entry that will elevate the value of the home in the first 7 seconds? And having those formal rooms right to the left with the nice light fixtures, with the placement of furniture and staging, created a real wow when somebody walked in the room. And I like to do that in my own property as well. I like to have the formal rooms close to the doorway. It just sort of gives people a hug when they walk in your room. And really, it's an important part of hospitality that people come into the home and feel that they are walking into something beautiful. Dave, do you remember when we went to the house and we were doing some really important filming that we had to get taken care of? We started walking on the porch and it was literally the biggest wasp nest, I guess. What do you call that?
It's a nest, all right, and it was right in the way because it was by the swing and the window, the front door. They were buzzing around.
They were buzzing around.
Very territorial.
Very. It was crazy. And so I was like, Dave, you've got to go get some spray. We have to get rid of these. I mean, they would swarm us. It was really dangerous. But no, Dave didn't want to use chemicals. So he had another plan in mind. Tell him how you fixed this problem.
Well, Levi and I, being the adventurous type, we decided to encourage these guys to leave and maybe send them along the way. And we took some dental floss and we tied it around the little dried flower that you put in the cedar box.
Yep.
Tied it around, let it out, and we got back to a safe distance. And then we pulled the dental floss and the nest came down and we just dropped the nest just like that.
I have to say, it was a lot of fun, but I was inside and I was watching these guys, and man, they took off running as soon as that thing hit the ground.
Oh yeah, screaming.
Because they were all swarming. And so I was pretty grateful that we didn't end up in ER or something like that day.
Oh yeah.
I love formal rooms in a property because it's a place that we gather for holidays and really a special place to read or just relax, maybe outside of the family room where the television is. So this property originally in this room had a formal living here and the formal dining behind me, but I completely switched it. And the reason for that is there was a wall between the formal dining room and the dinette, and when we removed that wall, I didn't want to have two eating spaces right next to each other. Plus, I wanted to be able to, when cooking in the kitchen, for people to be able to communicate and see through the rest of the house. And so it really developed into a beautiful space here, and you'll see to the right that I've got a dining room set here, and I found this chandelier on Amazon. It was under $300, and it really provided an impact on the room. And this was the first room when you look to the left that you saw. So it's kind of like that wow when people walked into the space. Also, we replaced all the windows in the property, and one thing that we learned is that when a window like this is less than 18 inches off the floor, you had to have a special type of glass. And so we did this window as a big picture window, and we got rid of the split in between to let a lot of light in the property and to really bring that natural feeling from outside right in. Now behind me, what you see is a formal living room, which I created as a seating area. One of the things that I really enjoy are fireplaces, and I brought an electric fireplace in, which is a great designer tip for you as well. This fireplace was under $400, and it looks like a real fireplace and just adds an anchor to a space that could have been almost like a long tunnel if we didn't pay attention to creating the separate spaces. Also, you see an area rug, and I did that for two reasons. One of them was to bring texture into this area, but also to designate that as a room, even though there is no walls in between. And so I brought in 4 chairs with a circular coffee table to create a really nice space to have conversation. And finally, throughout the property, you're going to see old and new, again, to bring that cottage feel in. And so you'll see on this dining table, I actually went to a antique shop that's right in the downtown, and I found these glasses that have got a nice gold rim on for about $2 each, and they tied beautifully into the chandelier. Also, what you'll notice on the coffee table behind me is I got some old teacups in this same color that is an antique in the blue, and I mixed that in with all the new things that we purchased to create a very beautiful formal space in the coastal cottage. There's no better place to create an atmosphere of hospitality than the formal living and dining rooms. Think about it. It's when company comes over, we sit in those rooms. It might be those quiet times in the morning that we sneak away to that formal living room and sneak up by the fire and spend time in the Word. I can tell you personally, I have spent a lot of time in the formal living room reading the Word of God. I think it's because of the beauty that is all around. It's maybe a little bit more fancy. We might spend more time thinking about guests coming over. It's that place that's reserved for special things that we celebrate in life. The word says this in Proverbs 24:3-4. It says, wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, communities, and through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure. Because of their skilled leadership, the hearts of people are filled with the treasures of wisdom and the pleasures of spiritual wealth. In our formal rooms, we may have people over for ministry. We may have business people over, but we know that those rooms can definitely fill the hearts of guests that come into our home. I wanted this home to fill the hearts of all who enter and spend time here, and to reflect the beauty and the prosperity that God intended for our lives. look at the cost of some of these specific items that I've talked about in the formal living and formal dining room. Now, I'm not going to be able to break out the paint in there or even the windows or the flooring just because it's part of the whole package, but there's some individual things I want to share with you, and I think it's going to encourage you because it made a real impact for a real minimal price. First of all, the light fixture in the dining room. I absolutely love this light fixture. It's black, which ties into the rest of the house, and it's got crystals and little gold pieces on it. Now, my electrician was not very happy with me with this fixture because it literally took hours to put together, but it has a really beautiful impact. And I got that at Amazon for just $289. Removing the popcorn ceiling is part of the overall daily fee that we would pay our team, Miguel and Joe. And so they were able to get that taken care of all in one day. And so that only cost us about $275, which I think was a really good deal. And we're so appreciative of them. The electric fireplace was just $425. I purchased that at Wayfair, and when it arrives, there is some assembly that you have to do, but I've got two guys that are great at it, my husband Dave and my son Levi, and you probably have a couple people in your house that can put things like that together as well. And then the entryway light fixture, I actually took a lot of time picking that out because I had the beautiful crystal one that was very close to it in the dining room. So I found a ceiling light that was black, it was round, and it had just a nice crystal that came down from the fixture to sort of set the stage of going into that formal living and dining room. So these are costs that we invested to really give it that special formal look. And I feel like we really did well with our budget in creating a nice impact and really opening up the feel of hospitality in these formal rooms. I really enjoyed this part of the Coastal Cottage renovation. I really enjoy the formal rooms. It just stands for guests, it stands for holidays and special times. And for me personally, I do a lot of my reading of the Bible and prayer in the formal living room, and I have done that for years. Maybe part of it is just surrounded by such beauty. I hope that this has inspired you to create your own space in your formal living and dining rooms in your home that really ushers in the presence and beauty of God. Share about Liftable TV with your friends, and don't forget to check out my website at KarenConrad.net, where you'll find free blogs, materials, and you can even purchase a special publication that we've put together on this project, the Coastal Cottage.